Fletcher Harris, goalkeeper, Taba, North Carolina.
Hey, welcome back to From the Roots Up. Another episode today. This is our 16th episode. It's wild to think that. I don't know if we expected to get this far doing this, but we're excited for episode 16. We've got an amazing guest today. But before we get started, of course, as you know, we follow Hickory FC match by match, trophy by trophy, and now I guess season by season since we're going into season 3. I'm Gavin, since I always forget to introduce ourselves. I'm Gavin, this is Max. Welcome.
Yeah, and today's guest is somebody who's definitely very, very special. You know, I always think that all the guys who are part of the first season were definitely part of something special in the club's history, but this guest today not only has that as part of his statue in Hickory history, but he was also the very first Hickory FC player to make the jump to the professional game, which, as we saw, kind of he led the way. We've got so many guys that followed in his path, so I think there's definitely something special about that. So first season guy and first player to go professional.
Yeah, absolutely. And as you know, he helped set the standard for what the club is now. I mean, even though, 2 seasons, but he helped lay the foundation for the club and the winning and the expectation and everything, and open the door for others. As you mentioned, being the first player that we've had to go professional. We've had others to follow in his footsteps, and really kind of proved that this club, Hickory FC in Hickory, a small town as we are, could be a launching point for players to go professional, which is amazing. So with all that said, long story short, I guess, we would love to welcome today the OG GOAT himself, Mr. Ivan Rubio, all the way from Spain.
Hey, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure to be here today with you. So let's get started.
All right, well, let's jump right into it. So before Hickory FC, before you joined the club for season 1, there was, I guess, as we become accustomed to with a bunch of the guys that we've had on the podcast, there's been a much longer journey than just, hey, let's play for Hickory FC. So I guess the first question, and it's, I guess we always ask it to everybody, is how did you get into football? I'm sure there was probably some family in there that got you into it as a kid, and it's obviously in Spain, it's a big part of the culture, but how did you yourself first fall in love with the game and get involved with playing?
Yeah, I started playing soccer very young. Well, in Spain, it's called football, And yeah, as you said, it's part of the culture. You grew up playing it in the streets, at the school, and like most of the people in Spain play soccer when they are young. So when I was a kid, I played for Osasuna's academy, which is a first division team. And I had the chance to play in tournaments against other first division teams. I even played against Real Madrid and scored a goal against them when I was young. So that's also a great memory for me. And those experiences helped me grow a lot and made me become the player that I am right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I love that you got that as part of your resume. It's like, I scored a goal against Real Madrid. Yeah, I mean, it's super awesome. And I will say we didn't preface this, but I love asking all of our foreign players. But growing up as in Spain, was there anyone, a certain player or anyone that you idolized, whether it was in your position, not in your position, that you just got the poster of in your bedroom? Who was that guy for you?
I mean, I know he's not like very popular, but my idol when I was younger, it was Diego Godin. I don't know if you know him. He was a center back. He played for Atletico Madrid, and he's from Uruguay as well. So yeah, I really liked him when I was younger.
Okay, all right.
So straight into defense, which is interesting.
Now, the other thing we always like to talk about, especially with our players that came in from abroad, is the soccer pathway here in the United States is very different. And you kind of briefly touched on Osasuna being your first team. So kind of from your perspective and whatnot, growing up in Spain, what does the soccer pathway look like? You know, what is, generally speaking, what's your first experience? Is it usually like you start with a local club, and if you're good, you find a youth program? So what does that look like for young soccer players in Spain?
Yeah, I think it's like in the US pretty much. You start playing with your friends for your school team. And then if you can do like tryouts for some other teams. And in that case, Osasuna called me for the tryouts. And those were closed tryouts. So they have to select you. You cannot like just sign. And yeah, and apart from that, there are a lot of clubs in Spain. And yeah, a lot of people play there. And I made it, and I started playing for Osasuna. And when I was getting older, I played for other teams around Pamplona, which is the city that I am from.
All right. Now, the other thing I'm also kind of curious about, because you mentioned playing for like the local schools, but I know here in the United States, you know, especially, I think it's more towards like football, but they always talk about like when the agents or like the coaches of the team come and watch. Is that the same in Spain, where like, you know that a team was there watching and everyone's like, oh shoot, we gotta play well today, we gotta win? Is it similar, or how do they find you?
I mean, if you are good, if you are doing a good job, I mean, if you are very young, like it doesn't really matter. But as long as you are getting older, and if you are good, a lot of coaches speak about you with other people, and you get to know. And at some point, if you are doing a really good job, they come and see you. And if you are lucky and the games that they are following you, you do a great job, they might recruit you. So that's pretty much how it works in Spain. I think it's close to how it works in the US.
So I guess with all the clubs that you played with, you know, growing up as you got older, what, and we've asked, this is another question that we've asked most of the people, because it really interests me, because as we know, like we think maybe European systems, South American systems are like, that's where you go if you want to you know, I guess raise your level or you know, move higher up into leagues. But what kind of brought you to the U.S.? What was the draw to come to the U.S. to play, to continue your development? Because I'm sure that would be a big jump for me, I know, and I'm sure it might have been for you at a younger age. So what kind of drew you to the U.S.?
Yeah, it was pretty hard to me because I think I was playing at a good level in Spain, so I wanted to keep playing. But I had a friend, he's Rubén Morillas, and he played for LR like 8 years ago, 9 years ago. And yeah, he told me that it was a great experience that I should try. And then I got a call from Jack Winter, he was the head coach of LR. And yeah, he convinced me, and I thought that was a good experience. It was going to be for only 1 year and a half. So yeah, I gave it a try, and I don't regret it at all. So I'm proud of my decision, and I'm really happy that I did that.
Yeah, we don't regret it either. We're glad we're glad you made the trip over.
Now, with your time at LR, and as a lot of the collegiate players too, you played not just at Hickory but other summer leagues here. And it's funny how you mentioned, he's like, no, I was just planning on staying there 1 year, and the next thing you know, he's here for 2 summer seasons. Is that two years at LR?
Yeah, the first summer I played for a team. I think you were gonna say that. It was called the FC Carolina. It was in Charlotte. It was a USL2 team, and I got to know like how, not professional leagues because it wasn't professional, but like best college players were there. So like it was very competitive, and yeah, I met a lot of coaches, a lot of players, and I had so much fun. And especially it was also North Carolina, because I also got some calls from other teams in Texas and everywhere around the country, but I didn't go that far. So I was very lucky, and yeah, I had so much fun this summer, and I learned a lot as well.
Now, when you first came, was that something you knew about when you talked to your friend who was here? Like, hey, you're going to play in the college and you can play in supper leagues. Is that part of the draw? Like, you know that you can play for a college and there's more kind of year-round experience, or was that just like a bonus and you just found out about it?
I mean, that friend that I said, Rubén Morillas, he played for Chattanooga FC when they were at NPSL, because right now they are at MLS Next Pro. And he told me about Summer League, but when I first went to the US, I wasn't expecting to stay there for the summer. I was expecting to be back in Spain with my family, friends, and everything, and then come back for the second fall. So, yeah, it was, but I don't know. I remember speaking with Jack regarding that, and I thought it was going to help me to be fitter for my second fall, for my last season at LR. So I took it, and as I said, it was a good decision.
I love that all these guys come in and they're like, oh no, and it just shows that I guess the U.S. system is very underrated, and I love how he's praising the similarities between the systems, but they're coming in like, oh, I'll just play a season at LR and then go home, and then the opportunities arise. It drags you in, and we're just pulling you in, and like, stay here. But yeah, no, it's super cool.
You can't say no to opportunities playing football. So I think, with playing with FC Carolinas, and I think you also played him as Max was doing his stalking on you to find some information, found out that you also played for Apotheos the 2024, kind of before Hickory started, I think a couple of months you mentioned earlier. And we were close to going into the U.S. Open Cup, and I'm hoping we can talk about this and don't get in trouble for it. But I think that was, and we mentioned, I think maybe before, that spot was predicated on being in the NPSL. But since we're not going to be in the NPSL anymore, I don't think Hickory will be in the U.S. Open Cup this year, which we hope, obviously, to do that again. But what was that experience like, playing for Apotheos in the U.S. Open Cup? I mean, even though it was, I think, for one game, so a very short time, but still probably really good experience, and probably a good time as well playing football.
What was it for week?
I remember it was a fantastic experience. I had to drive all the way to Atlanta. And I got a call from the coach. He wanted me for that game. And like, I didn't even think about that. I said, like, of course. And we played against the Chattanooga Red Bulls, and it was a very good game, but we lost 1-0 at the very end. And I don't know if you know that, but I missed an open goal at the very last minute, in the 90th minute for the 1-1.
Oh, we won't tell anybody.
And then I scored on them on the semifinal for Hickory, so they must hate me. But yeah, I'm very grateful for them to bring me. It was a fantastic experience.
Yeah, I think the U.S. Open Cup, and I'm sure that's a huge part of what made the transition a very difficult decision, is and for those who don't know, the U.S. Open Cup is a giant national tournament that includes all the lower divisions, and if you play up to the finals, you will be playing against professional MLS teams, and most countries have very similar systems, but it really puts your team kind of on the map, where if you win a couple games, you're now playing against professional teams on possibly nationally televised opportunities. So I'm sure that's what made the decision between NPSL and USL League 2 very difficult for the team. But one thing I wanted to ask you, so when I first heard about our US Open Cup opportunity, I immediately thought this is, and I'm sure it still is, it's a great opportunity to attract players to our team. Hey, do you want to come play in this national tournament for us? But the other thing I'm also noticing, and you're kind of a prime example of that, is a lot of players will just play for them temporarily, just for that tournament. Maybe Hickory's different, but as Gavin implied, given our success, I anticipate us to be in the tournament going forward. But do you think that still provides an opportunity for the team to grow? Like, even if they're just playing for us temporarily, you could say to those players, like, hey, didn't you like playing for our team, like playing for our crap? Like, even if those players just play temporarily, do you think it creates a pull to the team, whether it's just image or kind of what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I get what you say. I completely agree with that. But at the same time, routes are different, because players cannot play US Open Cup if they have more eligibility. So if they are on NCAA playing and they have more seasons, they can't play. I was able to play because I was done playing soccer for a lot, so I was able to play. But yeah, it's not that. It's different because you cannot build a team for the summer, I guess. But at the same time, it makes no sense because players that will go in the summer that are college players are not able to play those games anyways. So I get what you say, but at the same time, since the rules are different, I think teams just face those games just like they try to recruit the best possible players, and then they will try to recruit the best possible players for the summer, either if they are the same or not. Like, it's not I wouldn't say it's something that you do thinking of your incoming season.
Yeah, no, that makes sense. I never thought about that. But if you look at like the structure, like the rules for the U.S. Open Cup, you can't have any NCAA availability left. But then when you look at the NPSL, I think more USL too, but they essentially, I don't want to say force you, but you're forced to have college players. So it's like you're playing for two leagues that are forcing different rules. So it's kind of counterintuitive. It's like we want these lower league teams to have these Cinderella stories, but you can't play with any of your players. So I never even thought about that. So that's a really good point. But I mean, at the end of the day, I'm sure, if Hickory FC were to make a 2-3 game run, and end up on SportsCenter, which we will, I keep this as my prediction, give it a couple of years, but we're going to end up on SportsCenter as the Cinderella team. But you can't deny that the image and branding promotion is invaluable at that point. So,
yeah. So I guess, and you hinted at it earlier, I think, but did you see, like when you came over to the U.S., did you see your stop here as like a temporary thing? Like maybe I'll play a summer or one season and then go back home? Or did you see it as somewhere that you could potentially build a long-term career?
Well, to be honest, I didn't have a plan on my mind. It was like try to perform as the best that I could, and then we'll see. But I remember when I finished college, I didn't know if I wanted to go back to Spain and try to play pro there. I didn't know if I wanted to play in the US or even... I remember I talked to some Canadian league teams. So, yeah, I didn't know what to do. But so I remember when Carlos told me about Hickory, if I went to Spain anyways, it was going to be in mid-July, so I could play for a couple games, which it wasn't a couple at the very end. I knew that I had to leave early, but it wasn't a couple. So yeah, I took it, and then I went back to Spain. But as I said, when I went to the US, I didn't know what I was gonna do when I was done with playing for LR.
Yeah, and we'll touch on it a little bit more later. We're planning to talk about soccer development in the US, so we'll definitely expand on that. But let's kind of start back kind of at your roots for us. I will say at the beginning of Hickory FC, this brand new club, no history, no roadmap. We talked to Carlos Rubio about it. He had to pitch these guys a dream, a vision and a dream. So we heard from his perspective, but kind of from your perspective, what was it that convinced you to come here to a team that had nothing to really show for it? And what did he sell you? Car salesman, Coach Rubio, what did he tell you and convince you to come?
I mean, I lived in Hickory for a year and a half before playing for Hickory FC, and like people like you were so nice. So I was very happy with everyone. And I remember speaking with Carlos about the new team, about how it was gonna look like and everything. So yeah, and I didn't take any offer from playing pro in the US. So if I was going to take an offer in Spain, as I said, it was going to be mid-July, so I could start the season. And I remember I played against Apotheos the first game, and I graduated 2 days ago, so my family was there, and it was the perfect timing. So I could just stay there for 2 months more and play for Hickory and help the team grow his first year. So yeah, I talked to Carlos. I liked the idea. I liked the team. I didn't know that it was gonna be that big, so I'm even happier. So yeah, I took it, and yeah, I'm really proud of my decision, and I'm really happy that I took it.
Yeah, we are too, for sure. So when you arrived, like, I guess I say arrived, even though you were already here, but so when you got to your first few training sessions with the club, and you're getting to know the new guys, maybe that you didn't know before, did anything feel different? I guess as opposed to your college career or maybe career before college, is anything different? Like, given we got a first year club. I don't know what the expectations were going into it, whether, we just kind of see where we're at quality wise and see if we can get maybe a couple wins. Were there any expectations? Kind of what was the environment like, based on your experience coming into a brand new club?
Yeah, I remember the first days playing for Hickory FC. It was tricky because a lot of players didn't come yet because they were at their colleges and everything, because it was, I think, early May or the last week of April. So, yeah, it was, we weren't as many players as we were going to be. But at the same time, Carlos, I remember him, he was so excited because he was like, well, our first game is against a team that made all the way through the final last year. And it's our first history game. It's at our home, and we're going to win it. And I remember he was able to, to give that to us. So, yeah. So we wanted to win that game really hard. And I think that's where everything started, with that win. So yeah.
Yeah, wasn't it? It was a 2-0 win in the rain, if I'm not mistaken, with, I believe, was it like 1,500 or 1,800 fans showed up for the first match? I mean, what did that, like, your first match for Hickory FC in the rain, did you expect anybody to be there? Did you certainly might not have expected 1,500 or 1,800 people to be there, but, like, what was that first experience like, that first match?
See how crazy it is that 800 people at Moritz doesn't even sound crazy right now, because I think last year it was over 6,000 one game or something like that. So that's crazy. But I remember I wasn't expecting that many people by then, and especially because it was raining so bad. I remember it. And my family was there because I was graduating 2 days after the game. And I was like, not a lot of people will show up, but it will be good. It's our first game. We're playing against a very good team. Let's see what we can do. And yeah, and it was incredible, even though it was just 800 people, But yeah, it was fantastic every game.
800, I was way off. Still, 800 people, that's a good start.
Yeah, that's the point. It doesn't sound that many, but it is. That's the point.
Yeah, especially like you said, for such a rainy match, for a team that like no one knows anything about. You're playing against the reigning runner-up of the national championship. Everyone's probably like, man, this new team's gonna get blown out. Like, why are we gonna waste our time getting cold and soaking wet? And we said, hey, no, we ain't. Now, it's not even just the fans who kind of establish the expectations of the attendance and the atmosphere, but, being the first guys of the club, I don't know if this is something you thought about, but, you guys are setting the foundation for the expectations. This is where we expect to go. But even things like on, off the pitch, the culture, the training sessions, this is what's going to be passed along going forward. You think of, it's a multi-sport thing. You always think about the successful teams like, oh, we did well because in training sessions, the culture was there, the expectations, it's passed down. So I'm kind of curious, is that something you guys thought of, or was there anything in particular when it was like training or this or that you think led to this winning mentality? Or did it all just kind of happen spontaneously?
I mean, being part of the club in its first year is something very special to me because I kind of help building the culture, the identity of the team. But I remember like we didn't have any expectations apart from like giving our 100% every game, every practice, and let's see what the season brings us. We didn't expect to win the season, but at the same time, we didn't expect to just play for fun, you know. So we didn't put our standards we need to finish the regular season in the first place. It was just game at a time, and yeah, and we were working every week just for the game that we had in the weekend, and we tried to do our best, and yeah, we didn't think farther than that.
And I think that really speaks to, and we talked to Rubio about it, Coach Rubio, since we've got another Rubio here. Which I tell you, this is a funny story. I could have when I first started going to the second home match because I missed the first one unfortunately. But I was like, okay, we've got Coach Rubio and we've got Ivan Rubio. They kind of look similar. Are they brothers? I could have sworn you were brothers until I was told otherwise. But that kind of speaks to the culture that not only Coach Rubio but Will and Jorge as well have kind of cultivated with the club. It's one match at a time. We just go out there and have fun. And I'm not sure about the guys in the first year, but we talk about the brotherhood that's been cultivated and developed over this second season. Was that kind of the same thing in the first season where you guys you just gelled together and you had a good kind of camaraderie with each other and were friends? Was that kind of similar that the first season?
Yeah, first of all, a lot of people told us that we were brothers, and we had a joke. Like I was telling him that people is saying that because I'm so bad for the team. You know, I'm just playing here because I'm your brother. I was telling him that. But yeah, a lot of people told us, even when I was playing for LR. Regarding your question, yeah, I think the team was so successful because everyone was playing for everyone. No one was playing just for themselves, you know. No one was playing just their own game. So when you play as a team, it makes every player be better. So yeah, the first year, even though it was the first year of the club and there were a lot of new people that has never played together, I think that was very good, and Carlos did a great job regarding that.
Yeah, no, it sounds like we're kind of establishing this culture where I really like it. And just talking to all the players, I think it was when we interviewed Coach Rubio that it like really struck home. He had mentioned something about like, we know we have the potential to win, but it's not going to be handed to us. And I feel like that's kind of the culture we're developing. Is like, it's like I don't want to say arrogance, but like we know we have good players, but we still got to just go out there and prove it and prove ourselves. So I think you can end up too far on the spectrum where it's like, if you think and you just know like, oh, I'm going to win, it doesn't matter, you lose it. And then if you're on the opposite where it's like too laxed and, oh, we're just here to have a good time, you lose it. But we kind of found that sweet spot where, like, even as Ivan's saying, you know, like we were there to have a good time, but we knew we wanted to win and we could prove ourselves. So I love just finding that middle ground. It's very cool to see.
Yeah, definitely. So as we know, the first year ended up being historic for the club with the Southeastern Conference title against who I guess now could definitely be said as our arch rivals. Kind of, and you mentioned Real Madrid earlier, so we're like Barcelona, Real Madrid. We've got our own kind of El Clasico here, but it was historic. And I remember, and I mentioned this before, and I don't know if we can put it up or anything, but I remember your penalty. I think it was saved first, and then you hit it on the rebound and scored. And then I remember, and I don't know who was filming it, but and I'm not going to say it, but I'll just say, got in the camera and said, LFG. It was such an amazing experience. But it wasn't just historic for you, for the club, but it was also historic for you and personally. And we know, you mentioned leaving early that season, the first season, and it was definitely noticed in the game after that. But Yeah, what was it like? So when you left early, and it might not have been known to most fans, I guess, but you actually left to take a professional contract back in Spain. So what was your kind of mindset, or how did that feel to be the first Hickory FC player to go pro?
Well, it feels really special. I'm proud to be the first Hickory player that made it to pro. But for the club, I hope it also shows that it's possible for every player to reach the next level. And I think it can somehow inspire other players to keep working hard and to believing on themselves. And yeah, I think it's also something that can make some teams or some recruiters keep an eye on Hickory FC. Since, well, I was the first one, but I remember Jasper also went to pro last year, and Tony Pineda as well. So I think from now on, it's good news for Hickory FC players, because a lot of coaches will keep an eye on them.
Yeah, no, it's super awesome to watch, like, us become this pipeline to the professional system. Now, you kind of briefly touched on it. It sounds like the contract may have already been set going into the season, but I'm always kind of curious, as the, like, I love getting a little glimpse into the view of all you players making this transition. So how did that opportunity arise? And it can maybe be a general thing, do clubs reach out to you
in the season and you kind of start talking? How does that start? And then how does it end up in a contract?
We'll say.
Well, when the season started, I didn't know that I was going to play pro in Spain. I knew that I wanted to, and I knew that it was going to start. Pre-season was starting in mid-July, so I knew that if I make it, I wasn't gonna be able to finish the season for Hickory if we made it all the way to nationals. But I think it was early June. It was. I think, I'm not sure, but we've played like 6-7 games, and I got a call from a team, a pro team in Spain. The coach knew me, and he wanted to know if I was gonna stay in the US or if I was coming back. And I told him I was looking for a team in Spain, and then he told me he wanted to have me on the team. And then it was just a salary conversation from then, and we got an agreement. So yeah, I went there. I'm really sad that I had to leave, because I wish I could play all the way through the national final and win it if possible. But at least I could leave after winning the conference, which it was very important for me as well. So yeah, and to be honest, I remember, I don't know if you guys know it, but I had to be in Spain the Friday before I won the conference. So I asked the coach, like, hey, can I start on Monday instead of starting on Friday? Because I was gonna leave after the semifinal. I talked to Carlos. I was gonna leave after the game of Apotheos. And it was Monday, and I was gonna change my flights for that Thursday. When I was like, I mean, if I'm playing the semifinal, I know we're gonna win it. Wait, I'm gonna talk to my coach first. Let's see if I can start on Monday, and let's see if I can play on Saturday. And he told me that he was okay with that as long as I didn't get injured, which I didn't. so yeah, it was at the same time pretty sad, because the day right after we won the conference, I had a plane to take. So yeah, I just leave after the game, but at the same time, leaving after winning the conference meant a lot to me.
Yeah, and we could tell, and we could tell or noticed your you not being there in the game after that. It was that was a tough match, and you could definitely see the lack of your presence there, and we certainly felt it I think it was against Columbus, if I'm not mistaken. And you kind of already touched on the next question I was going to ask you, and that was, if it was kind of difficult emotionally to leave the squad right after winning. It might have been difficult in the moment, but you were, leaving to be a professional now. So I guess it can't be all that bad. But do you feel, since you've already kind of touched on that question that I was going to ask, do you feel a sense of pride knowing that you've been instrumental in helping Hickory FC to become, as Max mentioned, a legitimate pathway now? And you said yourself that coaches are more likely to watch Hickory FC now. Do you feel a sense of pride knowing that you've helped cultivate that sort of pathway to being a professional?
Yeah, well, first of all, when I left, it was like a mix of feelings. I was very happy because we just won the conference and I was going to play pro in Spain. But at the same time, I wish I could stay for longer and finish the season for Hickory FC. So it was like a mix of feelings. Regarding your question, seeing the club grow year after year makes me feel very proud. It feels good to know that I was there from the start, and I played a small part on its growth. But I think you guys, the community, and everyone over Hickory fully deserves it. So I'm really happy about that.
Don't sell yourself short. You didn't play a small role. You played a big role in it.
Thank you.
Yeah, and that's what we love about sports is, it's like such a roller coaster ride of emotions. And I mean, we talked about, like leaving after a championship, you're super happy, sad to leave, happy to start your professional career. But at the same time, it also goes to show like, it stinks to leave, and we felt that loss of your presence. But at the same time, I think that the impact of putting us on the map is also a huge like support to the team, like we're talking about. So we may have lost you as a player, but we gained you as proof of concept, So you went out there and said, hey, we did create, this is our first professional player that we have to show. And it's so much give and take. And that's what sports is. So it's awesome, but we go through so much emotionally. But now to segue into your professional career, unfortunately, it has been fairly injury plagued. So kind of wanted to touch briefly on, it sounds like we went through 4 professional games before we ran into some injuries that have kept us plagued. So if you're all right with it, kind of maybe talk to us about those 4 first professional games, and then what happened, and then how our rehab's doing now.
Well, as I said, I went back to Spain in mid-July. Season was starting mid-August. So I was able to play the whole preseason, which it was like 5-6 games. And then I got injured in the 4th game of the regular season. And I was playing at a high level, and we didn't have conceded any goals by then in 4 games. Well, and I got every single minute. So that meant a lot to me as well. I tore my ACL and both meniscus, and I had 3 different surgeries since then. So I'm still recovering from the last one. I'm like on the final part of the rehab. I'm still having contract until May 2026. So let's see what the future brings me.
Now it's a small sample size, I guess we'll say, but I mean, it sounds like letting up no goals in the 4 games you played there is pretty impressive. But maybe a silly question, but what was that jump like? I mean, you went from NPSL to professional soccer in Spain. Was there a stark contrast? I know a few of the players we talked to talk about how part of the success is that we had so much talent on our team that the practices were so tough and everyone's pushing each other. How does that compare? I mean, again, I know it could be a silly question comparing not professional soccer in America to professional, but I'm kind of curious what your transition was like there.
Yeah, I mean, it's a tricky question. First of all, because soccer is different in the US than it is in Spain. And I don't want to sound arrogant, but in my opinion, I also talked to Carlos regarding this. I think that the level, the tier that I was playing in Spain, not many USL1 players could compete there. But as I said, soccer is different because in the USA, it's much more physical, while in Spain, the quality is higher, in my opinion, and the decision-making is much more important. But it also depends a lot on how each player adapts to the league he is playing. For example, a player can be very good in USL1 and very bad in the league that I was playing, and also the same way around. So it depends. But I can give you 2 examples of teammates that I have played with. One of them is Manny Aparicio. Last year, I believe he was named Canadian League Player of the Season, and now he's playing for Atletico Ottawa. I think he's the captain. And he played for Izarra, which it was a team that we played last season. It was playing in the same division that we were, and they got relegated. So they didn't do good. And as I said, he wasn't even playing for Izarra, and he reached that level in Canada. And the other teammate, it's Sam Pitt. I don't know if you know him. He was a captain of the Canadian national team, and he's playing for Montreal. He's been playing MLS for many, many years. And he played the same division that I was playing, well, that I'm still having contract. So, yeah, there are a lot of examples like that, but also there are some examples that players that play, for example, I remember, I don't know its name, one center back from Charlotte Independence. He was playing as a starter. I don't know his name. And he also played 2 seasons in Spain. He made his debut with Valencia in first division, and he also played the division that I was playing. And he was starting in USL1, and he was performing pretty good there. He played for Charlotte Independence for many years as well. So, as I said, it depends on the player, but the level in Spain, I would say it's really high. There are a lot of good players, and if you are not at your 100%, other players will be better than you, and you won't play anymore because there are a lot of competitiveness.
Yeah, and now we're kind of jumping a little bit here, but since we're kind of on the topic, I'm kind of curious, it speaks a lot to the American development versus Spanish development. And it made me kind of curious from your side of things, just based on it sounds like you've got so much experience with this, like comparing the two. What do you think is the biggest difference between the gaps? Is it just, do you think it's all just style of play, or like what would it take for American soccer to close that gap?
Well, in my opinion, the gap between US soccer and European is getting closer every year, especially because right now a lot of international players are coming to the US. And for example, 10 years ago, that didn't happen. But the same way, I think the biggest gap is the decision-making. In Spain, people, in terms of soccer, I think players are smarter. But this is also because in Spain, we are always playing soccer since we are 3 years old. So we understand it in a better way, I would say. But in the US, it's also more physical. So I don't know, they are different. But I think the level in the US has improved a lot in recent years, and players are becoming more technical. And yeah, they are, I think, also colleges and US in general are investing in youth systems. So the league is growing in quality every season, I would say.
What do you think the American system does well that might be overlooked? And I know we've overlooked it as well, in that we think, if you want to go pro or you want to go to a high level, you have to go to Spain, you got to go to South America. But what's something that you've noticed that the U.S. does well in the pyramid, the system, whatever, that I guess universally might be overlooked?
Well, one of the main things, in my opinion, is the organization. I think clubs, at least from what I know, are well run, especially Hickory FC. No, I'm kidding. But also facilities, I would say they are very good, and players have access to great recovery staff, development, pitches, fields, facilities, everything. And as I said before, also another strong point is the athletic level, because players, I think they are very physical and disciplined, I would say. They practice a lot. They have so many gym hours, which is not that common in Europe, for example. I think that's one of the many reasons that American soccer do right to be overlooked.
You know, that's interesting too, because that kind of echoes what Martin said as far as the facilities go. We've got, I guess, and I've not seen, you know, other than maybe the pitch, but like, you know, what you've got as far as like weight training, if you do that, the pitches themselves, you know, if they're any better. But Martin kind of said the same thing as far as facilities go, as opposed to, you know, Argentina or I guess in Spain.
Yeah, and it's interesting. It sounds like we've got a good foundation that we're building here, and we're getting there. So maybe we're biased because we're soccer people. So I'm so excited to watch it continue to grow. And there's so many different aspects of it that I think are improving. Whether it's like culture in the MLS, the USL, NPSL, the fan culture is there, you know, with the supporters and the chanting and things like that, or even little things like we've talked to everyone about, you know, seeing little kids in soccer jerseys now, joining these youth soccer associations. So it feels like it's growing. It's just, when are we going to make that jump? So I'm kind of curious from your aspect, what is it that needs to change in the U.S. soccer for it to become the destination for global talent? So what is it that needs to change for 10-year-old Ivan Rubio to say, like, no, my goal is not to play at Real Madrid. My goal is to play in the U.S. What is it that needs to?
Well, first of all, I think U.S. system makes it very hard for international players because of the spots, because a team cannot recruit a lot of international players. It depends on the spots that they have. It doesn't happen in Spain or in other countries. And especially when soccer is not like the primary sport in the US, I think if you want to bring the best possible players, if you want to bring talent from very young ages, you should make it easier for international people. So that's my first thing. And secondly, I know there is a lot of controversy with that, but personally, I like soccer with promotion and relegation, and it makes people very competitive from very young age. And I think that's very good because it makes players to try as hard as they can, and it also makes players to be better, because they are always playing for a reason. It's not just playing it for fun. Of course, playing for fun, in my opinion, is the most important thing, but playing for a purpose at the very end is also important. And I think that will make every game matter. And yeah. So I would say those are the main reasons, or the main things that US should change.
And I think that's why we're so excited about the USL system. I mean, we won't be a part of it, as we've mentioned, in the USL too, but that's why we're so excited about the USL, is that they are introducing promotion and relegation. And I mean, we see it just about every year, whether it's in La Liga, Ligue 1, Serie A, the Premier League. Like there's those stories of, you know, making a run at the end of the season to avoid relegation, and it's like, oh, it's such a. I mean, it's almost like winning the league. The reaction from the fans and everything. So we're excited about the promotion and relegation for sure. And 100% agree with you that the MLS should introduce it as well. It would be phenomenal. But if we can transition a little bit, of course, being a football podcast and talking about football all the time, that's the majority of what we talk about. But that's not really the only part of Ivan Rubio's journey and story. In Spain, and I think you mentioned it, or Max stalked it out of you or whatever, but you worked with a foundation collecting food for those in need. So kind of a double question, or a question and statement is, what was that experience like that you were involved in? And also, it really kind of, as we've learned through all the players that we've had on, Rubio, as Coach Rubio as well, it goes to show the kind of character that everybody has, and just kind of the kind of players that they recruit or whatever. But what was your experience like with that in itself?
Yeah, in Spain, I was part of a Christian community that helped people, and there was some days that they were collecting food from houses. They were like house by house collecting food for the needy people. So yeah, when I was able, when I didn't have to practice, and when I had free time, of course I wanted to take part on it and to help needy people as much as I can. So yeah, I'm still doing it.
I'm glad you brought that up, because I was kind of curious, but I didn't want to ask it and have him be like, "Oh no, I don't do that anymore." So I'm glad you brought that up. That it shows that it's still something you're engaged with, and it's awesome, and being a part of the community, especially because we ramble about it all the time about how important soccer is for the community and how it's a give and take, So it's awesome to see. It's like not just we're engaged with the community because the team's a part of it and I just go sign stuff to make people happy. Like, you're legitimately engaged and involved with the community, which is so important and awesome to see. And you're still doing it. Like I said, I swear, I was like, should I ask him if he's still doing it? It'll be super awkward if he says no.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. I'm not doing as much as I used to, but I'm still doing it.
Okay. We'll take it. And then also part of my infamous pre-interview stalking, I saw during your time at LR, you were a part of several different research projects, but the one that definitely stood out was they had mentioned you were part of a facial recognition research project. So what was, it sounds like that may have been your crown jewel. What was that about, and what did you do with it?
I mean, I got my computer science degree in Spain, and I was doing an MBA in information technology at LR. So it was regarding my major, pretty much, because I wanted to keep engaged on some projects or keep studying, or because soccer doesn't last forever, and you never know. For example, I'm injured right now. So so I took part on that project, and I remember I learned a lot, and it was pretty interesting project because it was right after the mask that were mandatory in Spain. So it made those projects, facial recognition projects, very harder. And so there were a lot of things to change. And I remember I learned a lot, which it was the most important thing about that.
Yeah, I remember during COVID, you saw all these people just like peel off, unlock their phone, put it back on. It's like a COVID classic.
So I guess I'm glad you kind of mentioned, football not lasting forever for anybody, and you've got to have a backup plan if whether you retire or whether your body retires you, you've got to have a backup plan. So kind of what are your goals professionally at this point? I mean, obviously I think the first goal would be maybe to rehab and get back out there on the pitch. I know that I would like to have a 2026 Ivan Rubio shirt, but what are your goals professionally at this point?
Well, my main professional goal right now is, of course, to fully recover from my injury and get back to playing at my best level. I want to be healthy, strong, and ready to compete again. And after that, I want to keep playing at top level, at the highest level that I can reach, and help my team succeed. As I said, I have contract until May 2026. So hopefully by then I'm fully recovered and I can renegotiate a new contract with the team or looking for another one. Hopefully, I can keep playing for the same team. Yeah, let's see what. Well, they are. I mean, weak because I'm still considering myself part of the team. We're still playing. Last season it was awesome, and we're struggling a little bit more this season. But we have 13 more games to go, and we need 3 more points to get out of relegation. So hopefully we can keep playing at that division. And as I said, in May, hopefully I can renew my contract.
Hopefully they see 4 games with Rubio. We never let up a goal. Without him, we're fighting relegation.
Yeah.
Sounds like a no-brainer to me. But another thing I'm kind of curious, you're obviously an alumni of Hickory FC, but I would imagine you're now also a fan of Hickory FC and the project we're building here. I'm kind of curious if we're kind of imagining what Hickory is, 5 years from now. What do you hope Hickory FC becomes, whether it's you have a vision of where it is or what, is there anything in particular like this is what we know we made it kind of thing? What do you hope to see out of Hickory in the next few years here?
Yeah, of course, I am a Hickory FC fan right now, and I will always be. And what I expect from Hickory is I hope the team can keep growing the same way that it's going during the last few years. And my biggest hope is that the team can make another jump to, I know it's too soon to tell that yet, but another jump to USL 1 soon. Which, time at a time. We haven't even played USL 2 yet, but hopefully we can make that jump soon. And yeah, I also hope the club continues improving its players, building a strong team, and giving you, the community, the fans, moments to remember and great moments to enjoy. It could be amazing to see Hickory reach new levels. I think the community, you, as I said, fully deserve it. And I also think Eric, Tom, Will, and all the owners are doing a fantastic job with that.
Well, I don't know about when we hopefully eventually get our stadium, I want to make sure we have a plaque. First official professional player in Hickory FC history, Ivan Rubio.
I mean, he's going to have, when we do have the stadium, he's going to be in the Ring of Honor.
Yeah.
We're going to unveil his name around the whatever you call it, the upper part of the stadium. But he'll definitely be in the Hall of Honor, or the Ring of, whatever you call it, Ring of Honor, Hall of Fame. But you'll definitely be there. And we need to have your statue out beside your brother, Carlos, in your LFG pose from the conference championship. That would be amazing. But if you look back on your time here at Hickory, both at LR, playing for Hickory FC, but just being a part of the community, how have you remembered it? And then how will you remember it going forward?
Well, that would mean a lot to me, to be remembered, just remembered. And but if I could be remembered, not just from a soccer player, also if I could be remembered as a good person, it will also mean a lot to me. Because I think that being a good player is also about hard work and talent, but being a good person is that something that you choose and you behave and you work that way. So I think the way that I want to behave and I want to be is being helpful to everyone and being a good person, as I just said. So hopefully everyone from Hickory can remember me that way, not just from the soccer perspective.
Absolutely, and I wish that we would have started this last season. That was the goal, and I just never followed up on it. But whenever you're back here in the States, would absolutely love to get together in person and maybe do another episode with you. I think that would be very fun.
Yeah, and I love that you said that. We gotta find a good way to quote this. I think you said, or it was kind of implied, how you are as a player, your success in life. Yeah, a lot of it's up to how hard you grind, but as a player, a lot of it's just variables that you can't control. The one thing you can control is who you are as a person. And I love that you said that. And we've ranted about how all the players here have been incredible, phenomenal people. We've talked about what you've done on and off the field. But I love that it's you can choose to be a good person or not, and that's up to you. And it just shows who you are. If you choose to respect those, give back to the community, that's your choice. And when you choose to do that, it shows who you are as a person. So I love that you said that. That's an incredible quote. We'll add that to the statue. Choose to be a good person.
There you go.
But I got to say, thank you for setting the standard, creating this culture that we're now raving about every week here, and being a part of Hickory FC history for sure.
Yeah, definitely. And you know, this might be a corny thing to say, but you know, you were absolutely the first to do it, or you weren't just the first to do it, I guess I should say. But you also helped, and you said it earlier, you've shown that it's possible to play for an NPSL club in small town little Hickory, North Carolina, and go pro back in Spain. And that's a phenomenal thing, and we've seen other players follow in your footsteps. So really appreciate you taking the time out for us today, being on here. I know we've been trying to schedule this as it seems like we always do with everybody, and we're glad to finally get together with you, even though it's on Zoom. And I hope this has been gone over well. I hope we've done a good job. This was a kind of a different experience for us, but hopefully it turns out well. But I'll open the floor up to you, sir, if you want to say anything in closing, or you know, whatever. I open the floor to you.
I will give an advice to the players that will be playing for Hickory. And the advice that I could give them is pretty much what I used to say to the players when I was the captain. There is a Spanish saying that goes, you don't realize what you have until it's gone. And I remember, for example, when I was the captain and I was giving pre-game speeches, most of the time, especially at home games, the message was always similar. I used to say, let's fight for every ball, let's win every 50-50, let's make the other team suffer, do not let them come into our pitch, our house, and take the 3 points out of us. And let's also make our fans enjoy the game, because they are always supporting us and they fully deserve it. But most importantly, I always said, play with a smile. Play for the teammate that is standing next to you, and also play for yourself. Play as a team and give your best, because those moments don't last forever, and they might not come back. And one day, when you are older and retired, these are the moments that you will always remember. And yeah, that's it. I don't want to call myself old, but it is now when I am remembering all these moments and the good memories.
Yeah, definitely. Wise words from our captain, Ivan Rubio. And I hope and pray that, you know, as you do get older, you look back on your time at Hickory FC and in Hickory as just a great time in your life. Because you certainly did give the community, and I guess we're part of the community as well. But you certainly gave us moments that we'll remember forever. So I appreciate that. Anything else before we close?
No, I mean, thank you for having me. You guys are making a fantastic job as well. I used to watch every interview, and yeah, it makes me so happy to see all the players that goes there. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm sure I speak for many people when we say, you know, we'll be following your journey as well. Hope your recovery goes well. If your coach needs a stern talking to, listen, look at the success when he was playing. Renew this man's contract. Or, you know, maybe when we do go pro, then we'll be the one getting the pro players, and we'll see him back as our first professional contract or something. I don't know. Yeah. But we'll all be following your journey for sure, wishing you the best. And like Gavin said, next time you're in town, we'd love to have you back on. Hopefully we can get you in town, watch a match as a fan and alumnus of Hickory FC. But But all the best, and thank you for everything you've done for the club. It's phenomenal.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to be here today, and I will let you know if I go maybe this summer or next year.
Oh, would absolutely love it. Again, thank you very much for joining us. Thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to be here. Really appreciate it. I look forward to getting the 2026 home and away shirt. But in that, this has been another episode 16. I can't believe we've episode 16 of this podcast. It blows my mind that we've done this. But I didn't mention him at the beginning, but I thank Chris for everything that he does for us. We wouldn't be able to do this without him. Again, my name is Gavin. This is Max. This is From the Roots Up, covering Hickory FC match by match, trophy by trophy, season by season. Again, appreciate you, Mr. Ivan Rubio, joining us. But until next time, what do we say? Keep growing from the roots up, up the trees.
And up the trees.
Up the trees.